What's up, everybody? We're going to talk about the Bitcoin price. We're going to talk about the Joe Rogan experience with Donald Trump. That was interesting. And I'm going to give you my speculation on what I think is going to happen over the next couple weeks. And why don't we just start there, actually? So, obviously, my theory, if you've listened, is either they're going to swap Kamala out, which seems impossible. I know it doesn't seem like that would ever happen, and it probably won't. So that probably will be in the trash can. But the second theory is much more, in my opinion, likely to happen. And I could be totally wrong, but I think they're planning on a cyber attack. I've been talking about cyber attack for a long time. I think they're planning it for the election. I think they're going to, the race they say is razor thin. It's not. Trump is winning by a lot. They want you to believe it's razor thin so that, however the election happens, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out in regards to election day, but I'm pretty confident Trump will win. And I think they need an excuse as to why he won, meaning the President Trump won, not because all of us voted for him. No, no, no. He won because there was election interference. There was a cyber attack. There was a big hit on our elections. That's why he is urging people to use paper ballots. That's why he's urging people to vote early, right? It's the people who go and vote on the machines, right? All of those machines I don't trust those machines at all because it's old technology, right? It can be easily uploaded online. China can get it. I mean, who knows what they can do at the end of the day? But most of the time, they're switching the votes, and they're going to come out and they're going to say Trump won because of election interference. He won because we had a cyber attack. And if you're thinking to yourself, what the hell are you smoking? Are you tripping right now? And maybe I am. Maybe I'm totally off. But I don't think so. I think, look, I'm an analyst. I've been analyzing for quite some time. My main thing is looking at the charts. This is what I love to analyze. But I like to know what's going to happen so that I can position myself. And that's what it's really all about. Like, why even talk about Trump? Why talk about the election? It has nothing to do with crypto. And to some extent, that's correct. But if there's an event coming, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, I still want to know about it, right? And my intuition is, again, they're going to have some type of event during the election. Maybe not on election day, maybe not even the day after the election. Maybe it might take 3 or 4 days after the election, right? But somewhere in that, I would say 7 to 10 days right around after the election, something's going to happen. And, but here's the thing, if Kamala wins by cheating, right? If they cheat overwhelmingly and they say, okay, Kamala won, they're probably not going to pull the cyber attack narrative because they don't need to, right? But if they don't have enough ballots, if they don't have enough votes, because, there's a contingency plan, right? If you're the deep state and you're going up against, right, Trump and the people and vice versa, right? I mean, this is a big deal. There's always contingency plans. So the plan for the deep state is for Kamala to win, right? But if they don't have enough ballots, then Trump's going to win because it's too big to rig. Remember what he said. He always says it, too big to rig, right? So if it's too big to rig, then, and he's going to win no matter what, then what are they going to do? Well, they're going to say he cheated. How are they going to say that? Well, what's the best excuse to use on the planet? What the exact excuse they used in 2016. Remember 2016? Trump won, and they already, the Washington Post came out, we're going to impeach him. You know what I mean? They let the impeachment start. Why? Because that was the get-go from the beginning. But more than that, it was about Russia interference, right? They interfered in the election. That's why Trump won. So it's not so crazy when I say these things. They say, oh, that's crazy. How could you possibly say that crazy nonsense? Well, they did it before. Why wouldn't they do it again? The stakes are much higher at this point, so it makes sense that they would do something like this. Okay, so we'll see if that's the case. If it's not, hey, I am praying to God that the election is smooth, that Trump wins, that he fires Gary Gensler, he hires a new SEC, right? We get crypto regulated, we pass it through the Senate, we sign it through the White House, right? We allow more ETFs. We stop the onslaught, the choke point 2.0 on Coinbase and Binance and individual crypto. Now, if they did something wrong, right? Because I don't really trust the exchanges, right? The exchanges are a little bit fishy at times, and they should be regulated. But, just to do it for the sole purpose of, the SEC doesn't care about us. They care about making money. It's a business. It's a bureaucratic agency that is siphoning money off businesses to fund basically their little mafia hitmen, right? At the end of the day, they come knocking on your door. Hey, where's my money at? If you don't pay up, we're going to break your legs, right? Metaphorically speaking. So anyways, that's my idea. It took me 6.5 minutes to explain it. Not too bad, right? Okay, so let's move on to the price. So again, if Trump wins, I think we're going to get a massive explosion to the upside because of his view on crypto. So let's jump into the price action. But before I do, I want to show you something really, really cool. Check this out. So here's my Twitter or X or whatever. And what I wanted to show you guys is right here. It's by Fruition Productions. Now, this is really interesting because it's a trailer for a documentary revealing bombshells about the battle for control over the new monetary system. It's really interesting. Let's take a listen. So hopefully I don't get copyrighted for the music. We'll see. Let's play it.
SEC is preparing to sue that crypto startup. The asset in question here is called XRP.
Jay Clayton drops this lawsuit on his last day in office, like mission accomplished.
We became convinced that this whole case was merely a show.
The SEC has become a rogue agency.
And our approach the last several years have been just really a disaster.
Day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a SEC chairman.
We don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar.
The SEC came out and said Ether is also not a security.
We believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
I also have some theories as to some of the non-legal things that the SEC was trying to do.
He was also being paid as a profit-sharing partner from his...
So I'm just going to pause it every once in a while because, copyright, who knows. But I think this is a very interesting documentary. It's going to come out, I'm not sure when, but they're basically going and deep diving into how the SEC, the corruption within the government, going after companies like Ripple. That's why I've never abandoned XRP. Yes, the price action sucks, but the structure in which it's creating, I've been talking about it, looks really good. It looks primed for a big move. Yes, it could take time. Yes, it's been taking time, but look what Ripple XRP had to go through. It's kind of like Ripple is kind of like Trump, right? Being attacked by all the other crypto communities, especially the Bitcoin community. Ripple's a scam, XRP's this, XRP's that, and Ripple's just trying to do business, right? And at the end of the day, the SEC chose Ripple because they were the biggest target. They were the biggest threat. They had the most amount of money. They had, it's kind of like if you're a lawyer and you have all these companies coming out, and let's say Walmart was brand new, would you pick some company or would you pick Walmart to sue? Because if you win, your name's going to be huge because what Walmart is, and you know how big they're going to become. And that's kind of like the idea here with Ripple. That's why I believe, you attack those you fear the most. You attack those, the biggest threat is who you attack, and that's Ripple, right? So once all of this is done, right? Yes, they did an appeal, right? But what are we waiting for? Number one, we're waiting for Trump to become president, obviously. We're waiting for Bitcoin to expand in its fifth wave. We're waiting for, the appeal to be resolved. We're waiting for Gary Gensler to be fired. So once all these things, I mean, this could happen in literally a couple months, right? This could happen fast. So I think once it happens, it's going to be like a pressure cooker, right? Once you release all that pressure, things are going to explode. And that's what I feel about XRP. I've been holding this long. I want to see it through, especially because we're so close to the finish line. So, and when I see things like this, right, it makes things more believable that we are that close.
Law firm Simpson Thacher. That mission of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance was fulfilled.
Inman has this unique personal financial interest. He could not be involved in certain matters because they benefited him financially.
These two individuals are working at crypto firms that made very big bets on Ethereum.
Jay Clayton, within a couple of months, goes to One River, who benefited from this decision. If you follow the money, it paints a very clear picture. China's financial elite working with the U.S. financial elite and the regulators of the U.S. financial system to front-run the new global digital financial system.
Who wins? That's the question here. Who wins? Because I think that China wins.
Charles said the Chinese have been courting Vitalik hard.
So this is a race. This is like the space race, right? Remember, United States and Russia, first person to get to space. But this is crypto, and it's involving China, right? China already has their petro yuan, right? China's already, essentially leading in the crypto space. But I think you say, well, why aren't our politicians trying to make it so that we're winning? Because they're bought and paid for by the same people who are corrupt with China, right? So, for example, like central banks have no allegiance to the country. Their allegiance is to their own power, and they see, and they want to, that's why they outsource our jobs to Mexico and China, right? Because they want to weaken the United States, through manufacturing. That's one of the reasons I voted for Trump in the first place. Bring jobs back. But how could you bring jobs back if things are more expensive, right? If I'm a businessman and I'm going to make 1,000, let's say tablets or cell phones, am I going to make them in the United States? It's gonna cost me more money, and it's gonna cost the consumer more money. If I make them in China, it's gonna be cheaper. But on the flip side, by putting it in China, it's gonna hurt the United States. So what do you do? What do you do? That's the ultimate question. Well, and no politician is able to answer it, not even Trump. And you know what I would say? I would say, well, the reason why people are outsourcing it is because it's cheaper. But why is it cheaper? Because the dollar that we have is weak, and it takes more dollars, and things are more expensive in the United States. Why? Because we have a broken financial system. We have the king almighty dollar, the petro dollar system, right? And basically that system is a monopoly over all currencies, and that's why crypto is so important, because it basically has a level playing field, decentralization. So at the end of the day, crypto is the solution to bringing jobs back to this country, right? And also gold. So if we put our monetary system on a gold system, a gold-backed currency, and then we also put it on the blockchain, we eliminate the $30 trillion in debt by defaulting on it, right? Because we're not using that system anymore. That $30 trillion in debt is part of the current monetary system. So basically, we need to throw our existing monetary system in the trash and start over by using a gold-backed crypto system. That way, $1 isn't a dollar anymore. That dollar is very, very strong. So now, okay, China devalues their currency, right? They devalue their currency in order for things to be cheaper and for them to manipulate the trade differences, right? But when you go to a gold-backed system, there is no devaluation. So at the end of the day, that's what the BRICS nations are trying to do. They're trying to get together and they're trying to overthrow the dollar. And the only way it's not going to be overthrown is, in my opinion, it needs to be overthrown. We need to get rid of the dollar, right? And we need to create something new, because the dollar is not the dollar. It's not the United States dollar. It's a Federal Reserve debt note. We don't want that. We want a United States Treasury, U.S. Treasury dollar. We don't want a Federal Reserve debt note, right? We want that USA dollar to be backed by gold. So if we had a system that was strong like that, then countries wouldn't need to go to the United States wouldn't need to go to other countries to build their product. You see what I mean? So you gotta attack it at the source, the main symptom of the problem, right? Which is what? Inflation. But inflation is just a symptom. If I have a cold, let's say I have COVID and I'm coughing, do I blame the cough or do I blame the virus that is causing the cough? Right? Everybody talks about, oh, inflation, inflation, inflation. Yeah, that's just the symptom. It's not the symptom. It's the virus that's creating the symptom. And what is that? The Federal Reserve, the central banking fiat currency system, the system that put us in $30 trillion in debt. Nobody wants to talk about that. Trump doesn't want to talk about it. And I think the reason why is because there's an optical game going on. That's the grandmaster chess move, which is what? The financial system, the debt problem, right? Because that's the glue that keeps society together. Because can you imagine the financial system dissolving? It would send people into chaos. You would have riots in the street. You would have food all gone. You would have crime going up. It would be complete chaos. That's why they don't want to talk. That's why they don't want to address it, because they know if they address it, it's going to be a big problem. So what's the solution? Well, we're about to find out very soon. And that's why I'm a big proponent for crypto. That's why I'm de-dollarizing myself into crypto. I don't care if it goes down more, right? And let's jump to the price, right? When we look at crypto, at the end of the day, I don't really, it's all about dollar cost averaging, right? And if I know the Fed is ultimately the problem, right, because of the US dollar, then I want to get rid of that and I want to go into crypto. So I don't care if the price goes down, because ultimately it's going to go back up, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents there on how I think this is really going down here. And I think once Trump is elected, I think his main goal is to go after the Fed. He might not talk about it right now because there's no reason to. Remember, optics are important when going up against the system. You can't, if Trump wants to get elected, he can't come out and say, oh, I want to destroy the Fed. I want to bring a gold back. That would be too radical, right? He's got to keep it in the realm. That's why Kamala doesn't answer any questions, because all her ideas are too radical. And she knows that if she says these radical ideas, no one will vote for her, right? But sometimes you got to be a little radical, but not in the socialist communist way, in the way of taking back our country from these corrupt leaders, right? Because at the end of the day, who is it? The Fed, the corporations, the pharmaceutical companies, the military industrial complex, the oil, right? Why did we go in the Middle East? Because of the oil. Well, why did we do that? Because of the dollar. And why is that? Because of the Fed, right? So when the answer, this is a nuclear warhead right here. And this nuclear warhead called blockchain, you know, it's never about Bitcoin, by the way. People say, oh, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about blockchain, okay? It's about blockchain technology. That's in the inner side. That's within, right? When you're with somebody, do you care what they necessarily look on the outside? Yes, you do. But it's more about what's on the inside. And what's on the inside is what it is, which is blockchain technology. So forget about Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin's very powerful. It's going to keep going up. It'll probably go to $1 million. Great. But that's not the point. The point is the technology, which is blockchain, which could be implemented into voting, finance, payments, bonds, gaming, AI, DeFi, right? All these things revolve around blockchain, and Bitcoin is just the store of value. It's the machine. It's the poster child of blockchain, and that's why it's important. But it's not about Bitcoin per se. It's about the technology. So, blockchain technology is a nuclear warhead that is about to be dropped on the central banking system. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But I believe this is what Trump's trying to do, because he's talked about the Fed a lot before he was president. He's a sound money guy. He's a gold guy. He understands the financial system. He understands money, but he doesn't like to talk about it a lot, right? He'll talk about the border and things like that. So, but I think once Trump wins and they realize they can't get him out because of, remember, election interference. That's what I think. He's going to win anyway. So what are they going to try to do when he's while he's president? They're going to try to impeach him. How are they going to try to do that? They're going to try to kill the economy. And how are they going to do that? Through the banking system, right? Remember, the banking system is teetering off a cliff right now. So it's very fragile. People have been talking about recessions for a long time. And we never left the 2008 recession. All we did was print more money, kick the can down the road, and now here we are years later, right? So you have 8, 16, 24. That's 20 years. This is the 20-year anniversary of the great, of the last recession, the 2008 financial crisis, right? Remember when the government came out and bailed out all the banks? Well, guess what? That's kind of what's going to happen again. Something's going to happen in the financial system. Trump's going to come out and he's going to blame whoever it is, right? The Fed, the banks. And then he's going to say, well, we need to look harder at this, because they've been in charge of our monetary system for the last 100+ years. And they're responsible for the Great Depression. They're responsible. I mean, we went off the gold standard, right? People say, oh, Nixon took us off. He did not take us off. He was the president who gave the A-OK. But who was Nixon? Who was whispering in his ear, right? Just like who's whispering in Joe Biden, who's whispering in Kamala's ear. See, people think the president is responsible for the decisions. It's really, in some instances, yes, but in a lot of things, no. That's why, that's one of the other reasons I voted for Trump as well, because I don't think he's a guy who can, you can tell he's all about what he wants, right? Not what other people are telling him to do. Because he doesn't need that type of power, because he's already been there, done that, right? But anyways, Trump went through a lot of bankruptcies when he was during his private life. So he's been battling the banks his whole life in regards to, taking a bank, leveraging the debt, and building an empire. And that's what he did. He basically, without the banks, he would have never built his empire. So, but also, you can say, well, why did he go bankrupt if he's so successful? Well, that's the cost of doing business. If you fire 100 bullets, some of them are going to hit the target. Maybe some of them miss the target, right? And that's just the cost of doing business. So, again, I think once he's president, the financial system is going to start even rapidly more deteriorating. And they're going to say, see, look, Trump was the reason why. And that's when we're going to go after the Fed. Remember, Ted Cruz had a bill, audit the Fed. So did Representative, I think his name is Thomas Massey. He had an audit the Fed bill, right? So audit the Fed is coming. And once we audit the Fed, we're going to see a lot of stuff. By the way, the Fed does not allow an audit. They don't answer to no one, right? That's why I say watch the best documentary ever. If you want the ultimate red pill, I'm talking about the biggest red pill on the planet, bigger than any other red pill you've ever swallowed. The best documentary is right here. It's called The Money Masters. And if we go to videos, here it is right here. It's 3.5 hours long. But so was, if you can listen to a 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast, you can listen to this. Just watch 30 minutes at a time. And it will
$1,000 in paper money and draw interest payments on it. And
they go over everything from the Rothschilds to the beginning through Andrew Jackson, right? Remember, Andrew Jackson, he went to war with the banks in 1812, I believe, and he was the first Democrat president. And guess who was hanging right in the Oval Office right next to Trump? Andrew Jackson. Why? For what? Because, nobody's really asked him, why did you pick Andrew Jackson? He's known for the banks. And what has Trump been doing his whole life? Battling the banks. And what do you think the big thing is? It's not the Democrats. It's not Joe Biden. It's not Kamala. It's not Obama. It's not even really the government. What is it? It's the deep state establishment that has been corrupted through the Federal Reserve, through the central bank, right? And it's designed to basically make us work harder for less, right? When you go to the grocery store, everything's more expensive. And someone can blame Kamala, but it's really not her. Someone can blame Trump. It's not him. Well, they say, oh, it's government spending. Like Elon Musk, he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the world. He's definitely one of the richest people, but I don't think he really understands. Maybe he does, and he just doesn't want to say. But he goes, oh, government spending is the reason why we have so much inflation. Yeah, but how is the government allowed to spend? If there's no accountability, then they can spend whatever they want. So yes, that is a problem and it is causing inflation, but what is the root cause of inflation? It's money printing, right? And if we have the gold, why don't we back it by gold? Because the government doesn't want to back it by gold, because then they can't just write a blank check and fund their deep state operations, right? So that's the whole thing. That's why this is the grand finale right here. And I don't want to take too much time, but the reason why everything is so corrupt and it's so infested is because we see all the corruption, we see the fake news, we see the corporations, we see all the corruption. The reason why is because we have a monetary system that allows it to be bred, right? The current financial system breeds corruption. How does it do that? By infinite money and infinite money printing, right? If the Democrats can send billions and billions to Ukraine, but the people who just got wiped out by a hurricane, they don't want to send them nothing. What does that tell you, right? So it tells you where their interests really lie. So for me, I think Trump winning, us breaking away from the banking system. We're still going to need banks. We're still going to need that stuff. But think about what he's doing with World Liberty Financial, right? He's creating a DeFi platform, a decentralized financial application for people. Okay? So DeFi is literally anti-bank, because a bank is a brick and mortar place that they have to pay their employees, they have to pay the lease on the building, they have to pay insurance, they have to pay property tax. Well, how are they getting all this money? From me and you. Well, why do we need to give them money? We don't. Well, why is that? Because we have an alternative. What's that? Crypto. Well, why don't we use it? Because they don't want to use it. Why? Because it'll kill the banks. It'll hurt their business. Well, who cares? Let's do it anyway. Exactly. And that's what we're going to do. Right? Because we have leverage over the banks, which is crypto. And that's why they've been stalling it through Congress. That's why they don't really want to talk about it. That's why they say it's a threat one day and then they say it's cool the next day, right? Because they want to give this confusion of what it really is. And Trump coming out, standing with the Bitcoin, standing with crypto, just further validates what my thesis has been all along. Even back when in 2019, I think, he tweeted out, Bitcoin is a scam, and when he tweeted this out, I had friends send it to me and say, see, look, Trump doesn't like Bitcoin. I said, you watch and wait. I said, he's only saying that for optic reasons. Look, he's president. He has to stick with the dollar, he for optical reasons. But eventually he will push towards crypto. And I'm surprised he did it this early. I thought he would have waited a little longer. But, man, what a wild time we live in. So anyways, definitely watch this.
No one would ever discover the deception. This could not stand to have America printing her own money again. So the Constitution is silent on the matter. This grievous defect left the door wide open for the money changers, just as they had planned.
It's all, yeah, exactly. It's all about how they plan, right? So, when you watch the news and you hear Kamala and Trump, I want people to understand that I don't care if you're a Kamala supporter or a Joe Biden supporter or Obama or Trump or whoever, because we're all in the same basket. We've all been hurt by the same people, and we're all along for the ride. And so here's a classic meme right here, and you see a king and the person whispering into the ear, oh, you don't need to fight them, right? They're all pissed off. They got the pitchforks out and they're running to kill the king. Oh, you don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want to take away their pitchforks, right? And that's what the Democrats, that's what the Republicans do. But really, that's what the central banks do. You don't need, the central banks say, you don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the Republicans, right, that the Democrats want to take their guns away or they want to do this. So then they, you know what I mean? So it's all about political stuff. And I don't like political stuff. I like the truth, right? And the truth is, both sides are corrupt. Both sides need total reconstructing, and all of it revolves around the financial system. So that's all I'll say about that. So let's take a look at the price. And by the way, Trump wanted Joe Biden to be president. And people can't understand why. Well, think about it. If Trump was president, then we wouldn't have Joe Biden causing all these problems, right? All the problems we see in the world today that people blame, and I don't really blame Joe Biden for most of them, but I blame his puppet masters, right? But Trump knew they were going to cheat. He tried to stop it, right, for optics, but he knew they were going to succeed. So it was a peaceful transition of power. But then, Joe Biden was president, and people got to see the difference between Trump and Biden. And I think Trump wanted that because it only made, his first 4 years was to bring the country, kind of get it going, right? Kickstart it. The second 4 years was to leave and for people to see the difference of what he was doing versus them. The next 4 years, which is coming up, is the cleanup, right? It's basically cleaning up the mess and getting things back on track. So anyways, Well, we'll look at XRP here. I think it's finished just about. I mean, look at this. You got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you got an impulse, right? So here's the big thing. Here's your resistance right here. If we get rejected right here, then we're going to come down. But if we flag down, then we want to break to the upside, right? That's what we want to do. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. And if that doesn't happen and we get rejected here, we might need another low. But I think this was a pretty powerful low. You can see these wicks there, right? I think this is just another low. I think the low is in. So at least for a bounce, okay? At least let's come up and retrace. If we have a retracement, you know, you have point A, point B, and point C. So we're still down here at point B, right? There's always 3 points. So the hard part isn't here yet. The easy part is thinking, okay, we're going to have a retracement, right? So I still think this is a flat 3, 3, and 3. So this is a 3-wave move. Look at that 3-wave move, right? You got 3 down, 3 up, right? Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. That's a 3-wave move there. So you have 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, right? So 1, 2, let's go. Okay, so XRP versus Bitcoin. I love it. You can say, why do you love it? It looks like it's dying. Well, because we're back down to support, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. It's a big C, but let's see if we can hold support here. If we break this low, then what is it? Well, then it's a 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if we do break the low right here, I'm calling the bottom is in. And this is, we want to see divergence. Now, hopefully it's in now, but if we have to go down and break the low, I think we will. Actually, because think about it, if Bitcoin breaks out to 70K, the Bitcoin dominance is probably going to go higher, which means altcoins are probably going to bleed. Yes, the altcoins could go up in USD value, but they can still continue going down in Bitcoin value. But I think it'll be very, very short-lived. So let's keep it going here. Let me go to Bitcoin. So when we look at Bitcoin, I mean, we got a doji here, guys. I mean, this could still come down quite a bit, right? On the larger time frames. So as long as we hold this low, this order block down here, right? What is that? That's at 60K. So that's what I'm saying. As long as we hold 60K, whoops, let me just put that right there. There we go. As long as we hold 60K, I think we're good. So this area down here is the area we don't want to go. And if we do, we basically threaten the low. So let's zoom in and see if we can see anything here. Yesterday I put a video out, right? I mean, this whole time we've been discussing this as either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we have an A. It looks like we're getting a B, and then we probably get C. So this could be, and it could be A, B, C like that, but typically, a lot of times the B waves get complex, right? So for example, instead of this being the B wave, you have 1, 2, 3, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C. Get us right back down to 63K or so, right down in this area. You know, pick up some steam, build the base, and then blast off. So that's idea number 1. That's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. And we're going to be flagging out in here. So essentially how that would look is, let's put our base up here, right, or our resistance up here. And if this is going to flag out in here, that's great, right? Because you have resistance, 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 resistance. The best place to flag out is right underneath resistance, because what you're doing is you're resetting the momentum so that when you come back and break it, it's easy. Because when you're down here, guys, when you're down here and you go all the way up, it's hard to break it. Why? Because you lost momentum. You started from way down here, you get up here, you lost momentum. So you have to go down, you have to flag out. But we don't want to go down like this. We don't want to go down like this. We don't want to go down like that. We want to go down in a nice ABC, like what we're doing now. Look at it. It looks like a nice oscillating move. See, A, B, C. Let's get something like that where we can reset the RSI, reset the momentum, right? And then we can push, because now we're coming from this point, right? Instead of coming from way down here or way down here, we flag out ABC. Now we're just coming from here, and then we can break out, right? So resetting itself is important. So this could be A, B, C, or what else could it be? This could be finished, and this could be a 1, 2, and then we go 3, 4, 5. And then what you have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we flag out up here, which is also very likely. So that's the idea number 2, right? So that would be our wave. That would be wave 1, and this would be wave 2, right? So either one of those ideas will work. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. And, if this is a reversal, then this could be a 1, 2. Maybe we get another 1, 2, and then we start going down. If we start going down like that, that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. We don't want to do that anymore. We're past that stage, right? No more of these crashes. You see these crashes in here? That's very unhealthy at this point in the game, right? It was needed back then, but now we need to show some strength. So we need a correction like this, right, to break us out. And that's what I'm thinking. Now, one of the problems I see is this trend line here. It looks a little bit, if we break that trend line, I mean, it's not going to be good. At this point, we don't really want to break it. So you can see you have somewhat of an ascending triangle. So if we come down, we swoop below it, and then we go up, that's fine, right? But we really just kind of want to come down, test it, test it, test it, test it, go back up. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. And again, if we do break out, I'm looking at it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's pretty much it. We covered a lot yesterday. XRP, we just covered it, right? But what I wanted to show you on, let me go to another chart, XRP real quick, is, let's see if we have divergent. I don't think we do. Yeah, we do on the 6 hour, but do we have it on the daily? I don't think we have it on the daily. No, we don't have it on the daily, unfortunately. We have it on the 4 hour. Yes, we do have it on the 4 hour. You can see it's not too strong, but you can see it right there. Okay, perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see what happens down here. Ultimately, I want to see a retracement back to the upside. All right, Theta. Where are you at, Theta? What the hell is Godius Maximus? I threw a couple $100 in it. I think last week, and I made some money on it. But yeah, it's one of those meme coins that it could drop anytime, but I like the way it kind of looks. It's kind of like cupping in, you see that? So maybe we can get a little bit of a 3-wave here, but looks interesting. Anyways, Theta. Okay, here we go. So Theta, remember, guys, this is the grand finale here for Theta. Ready? This is exactly what we were talking about. Look at this. A, B, C. Been talking about that since up here. That's probably what we're gonna get. And that's exactly what we got. Now, it happened pretty fast, right? I mean, I'm surprised it happened this quick. Now, is it finished? It might not be finished. It could be like 1, 2, 3, or actually like a 1, 2, 3, and then we can get 4 and then 5. We could still have one more low, but if we did one more low, it would just be more convinced that the low is in. Because you could see, look at that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. This one here. If you look at this, we're right back at support. Okay, so if you support, but not only support, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then you have A, right? B, C. That's wave 2. So 1, 2, right at support. I mean, that's a setup right there, guys. Not financial advice. I could be wrong, and we could keep going down. But statistically speaking, this is it. This is the area. I mean, look at this. 1, 2. I mean, this is exactly what we talked about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an A. Okay. Then we came up in 3. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. That's a B. And then maybe we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we get C. Or it could be finished now, right? But that's why we dollar cost average, because we're not too sure. Maybe get a little bit here, get a little bit there if it does. But ultimately, what are we expecting? Coming back to this level. That's where I think we're going. So, yeah, like, you know, this looked very corrective to me. We impulsed down and we did this crap. So typically it comes down, but look, once that's finished, I mean, you can get something else like this, right? It basically has the opposite effect. So this could be the head here. And then also, right, come up here, inverse head and shoulders, but also Wyckoff. Remember we talked about the Wyckoff. I mean, it could come down, poke its head through, play around, right? Because at the end of the day, we're building a base. And in order to have the strongest retracement possible, we need to build a big base, right? And so far, our base, I mean, there's a couple ways you can measure it, but the base really started in July. So we've had, you know, a good amount of time so far. So good oscillation to the downside, to the upside, to the downside, to the upside, and now back down to the downside. So we're oscillating nicely in order for this to break out. For example, like look at this base down here. This base right here was a nice Wyckoff zone right here. And this is actually right where I started making YouTube, was right at 64 cents, right in there, after the spring. And I said, look guys, we're probably going up for a major retracement. And we did. We came all the way up to $4. I thought we could go a little bit higher, but you know, it met the requirements. So for a retrace. So you can see coming up, coming down, coming up, coming down, right? Building that base and then going higher. So 1, 2, 3, 4, blast off. So let's see if we have that. Now, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, blast off. Same thing, right? So we'll see. We'll see if that holds true. Let's look at the very, very small time frame, see if we can get any indicator here. We got a little bit of a pop. You can see we had a retrace, and then we had a little bit of a three-way pullback. And now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we get a little bit of a pullback, and then we keep going higher, right? And we get a three-way move like this, and that three-way move can turn into a 4 and a 5. But what I would really like to see is us just kind of doing something like this, right? That would show me accumulation. If we shoot up very fast, then we're most likely going to come down and hit the low later on. So you might as well just stay down here until you're ready. But yeah, I think this is a pretty climactic end. You had a nice wick at the bottom, so there's a good chance it could be finished. So anyways, let's look at TIA here. So TIA also had a three-way move. Look at this. You have A, you have B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. A, B, C. Okay? So you have, and now this is a three-way move, but it can also turn into 4 and 5, and you can get like a bigger C. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. You have 1, 2, 3, B, and then you could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. But the problem is when you look at something like theta, it looks more complete than TIA is, because you can see, right, if this is our support, right, if our support's down here, right, I mean, we're still at the top here. We're on the upper part. This is the lower part, right? We're sort of in the middle. So I think I think it's a decent spot, especially because, let's see, do we hold the trend? I think we broke the trend. I think we broke it. Yeah. Well, no, we didn't actually. Okay. So let me try to make it a little bit better. Try to hug the line there. And I'll pull back. Yeah, look at that. So we're still holding the trend. Looks good. Okay. And the downward trend from here down to here, you can see, right, your supply line, your demand line. So there's a good chance that it could be, this trend line's pretty steep. So there's a good chance it could be, here's your resistance. If we go up in a three-way move, we hit at resistance, we start coming down, and we break the trend line, right, we can come back up, retest it as resistance, then come down later. So that could happen, but let's take one step at a time here. And my next move that I'm thinking is, obviously we've already done it. We're already doing it, which is building a base down in here and getting a little bit of a retracement. Now, based off the wave structure on the small time frame, will give me an indication of what the next move will be. So when we look at like the 15-minute chart, there's nothing here that tells me we're going down right away. I mean, you can see 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, and then we get 4, and then we get 5. Probably either that or the lows in. So what's the strategy? Well, dollar cost averaging here. If we break the low, dollar cost averaging here. But more, right? So if you're putting, say, $10 here, well, and then we come down, well, maybe now we're lower, I'm going to put $15 now. And if, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I play it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for TIA. Here's what I'll say. On the grand scale of things, it looks really bullish. Unless, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we're not going to break out of this top. What's going to happen is, because we want it to be an ABC, right? We want it to be A, B, C. Because if it's 5, then we should expect 3, then 5 later, then go. A bigger A, B, C, right? Which would suck. So hopefully that's not the case. Because the whole idea here for TIA is breaking out, getting into the retracement levels. And even higher than that. Because, you know, there's no... This is our wave 1. This is wave 1. This is wave 2. Wave 3 is going to be monstrous. Right? So we'll see how that plays out. But let's keep moving on here. I know I took a long time with the political stuff. I like that wick on XRP. I don't know. XRP seemed to be one of the best recoverers. I mean, look at that. It's still, look at that. Support, support, support. You dip down. You come back up. Support, support, support. I mean... the outside forces are just beating it down so hard, and it still holds support. I mean, it's still holding this key line in here. I mean, this is a very key area in here, right? So we don't want to jump the border on this one. We want to stay put. Let's see. Okay. We got Bitcoin, CRV. Okay, yeah. Look at CRV. Looks good too. So CRV actually, you know, it kind of looks like a WXY maybe. So you have a 3-way move down, a 3-way move up. But, you know, it looks like 5 to me here. So you can't have a 5-3-3. It's either a 3-3-3, a 3-3-5, or a 5-3-5. But never a 5-3-3. I mean, it's not typical. So that's one thing that could be a little concerning, unless this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a big ABC. But then it looks too big to me. So, but anyways, you have this 3-wave shape here. You have this impulse, 3-wave shape. Let's see what comes out of it. All right, let's look at meme coin. So a meme coin, you know, meme coin did exactly what we thought. I mean, SHIB was kind of the easiest chart because you could see the rising wedge, you see the big pump, you see the big knockback, you see the B wave retracement. So it was just dying to come down here. A, B, C. It looks like a finished, or just about a finished 3-wave move. So once this is finished, I see some upside. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.